Are you trapped in the relationship yo-yo effect? You're in a relationship, you feel good. You feel loved. You feel on fire. You feel like you could do anything. And then things start to not work out too well. For example, maybe he's too controlling. Maybe he disappears. Maybe he's going too fast. Maybe you start to find things out about him that you don't particularly like. So the relationship breaks up. Now you feel terrible. Now you feel like there's something wrong with you and you got to get some help. Maybe you need to go see a psychotherapist. Maybe you need to hire a coach. And then you get into another relationship and you feel great again. No problems. Life is happening. And then it stops working. He disappears. Or he starts criticizing you. Or you start finding out things that you don't really like. Or he wants things that you don't want. Or he's boring. Or you're boring. And the relationship breaks up again. And you start looking for help because you think that there's something wrong with you. First of all, understand that as a human being, you need love. We all need love. Humans are wired to bond. And we feel better when we are in some kind of intimate connection, relationship. In fact, human babies, they perish. They do not thrive. In fact, their brains do not develop properly if they don't get enough love. And adults, they don't thrive. We do much better if we feel loved, if we feel supported. Now, sometimes, and ideally, that happens in a relationship. That's why romantic movies are so popular. We kind of get the vicarious feeling of what love is about, even if we don't have love in our lives right now. So, hi, thank you for the kiss. Hi, for joining me. So, love. Why is love so difficult? Well, it does go back to those early childhood experiences. We get loved by our parents. And oftentimes our parents are not very good at love either. Maybe your mother is detached or repressed, or your father's overcritical. We model our parents, and we get adapted to those kinds of experiences. Thank you for joining. And we literally seek out those kind of people in our relationships. It's almost as if we're trying to fix. Hi, Irene. Welcome. So it's as if we're trying to fix the pattern that was created in our childhood. But the message that we often get is that we're not worthy of love, that we're not good enough, that we're not valuable, that we're not wanted. And so when we go into relationships, we try to earn our love. As a PhD psychosocial therapist and psychosomatic coach, I understand that there are actually three patterns, common patterns that happen as a result of our childhood, as a result of being convinced as a child that we were not lovable, that we were not deserving of love. And those patterns are the pleaser. I'll talk about the pleaser first. I know the pleaser very well because I was a pleaser. Because as a young child, it wasn't even as though my parents they weren't bad. It's just that my father, who I had bonded with, was transferred. He was in the army. He was transferred to Japan when I was only 2 years old. And we were separated for several months. For a 2-year-old, that's an eternity. By the time we got reconnected, I had lost my trust. I didn't trust him. I did not trust myself. I did not trust the universe. I felt that I needed to prove that I was lovable. Now, on the other side, my mother, I never bonded with her. She already had 2 other daughters. So I felt like I wasn't wanted, that I was a burden. Can you imagine? I mean, it was a perfectly normal American family, and yet I ended up feeling like a burden. So I tamped down my emotions and feelings, and I became a pleaser. I wanted to earn the love that was out there. Interesting, my first relationship, I got married to this man. He had the exact opposite pattern that matched me. It was like hand in glove. I was tamped down. I wasn't expressive emotionally. And he had a mother who was totally shut down. So we matched and we stayed together for a long time, 15 years. But eventually, it broke up. He went away. He abandoned me, which went right back to my early childhood. Abandonment. I played out the pattern all over again. And what did I do? I decided to join a spiritual community where relationships don't matter. Because I didn't like being rejected. Most of us don't like to be rejected. And it's hard to get back into the arena again when you get rejected, especially after being left for another woman. The problem is, spirituality is a great place to hang out. You feel wonderful, you're in an exalted state, but you're not dealing with your emotional wounds. And I didn't deal with my emotional wounds. And it took me 13 years before I met my current husband. And when I met him, it became really clear to me that I needed to do some emotional work, or this relationship was not going to last. And so I did the work. And I'm happy to report, hi, Emma. So I'm happy to report that we have been together for over 22 years. Is it all peaches and cream? Not on your life. Relationships are a work in progress, but they are also about growing. We're here to grow, to become more fully who we are. Yes, nobody likes rejection. That is so true. So we're here to develop, to become who we really are. And our relationships are actually an opportunity to do that. But if you don't seek help, you're listening to the inner child that started all this. And she's going to be insisting that you're either a people pleaser, or the other pattern, which I'm going to share now, is the manager. Or sometimes I call her the controller. She's a bit bossy. And this is often women who are really accomplished. They're successful in life because they have learned to manage things. And they've come from family backgrounds where they had to step up. And so they developed those skills, which really worked well in the real world, in business world, but not so well in relationships. And so what they do is they tend to attract men who want to be mothered, who want to be taken care of. And so they get a relationship with a project, with a man that they're going to make better. And the man is stuck in the relationship because he can't make it on his own. But here's the catch-22. If the controller, the manager, succeeds in turning him into somebody powerful, she loses her control over him. She loses her way of ensuring that she is loved and that he stays. And he might leave. But the alternative is even worse. And I've seen this. A number of my clients came from that controlling, managing background. And what happened is they literally sucked the lifeblood out of their husbands. They died. I remember one client, she had had a very difficult life and her husband was the love of her life. And she was a pleaser. And he got involved with another woman. Only intellectually, but she didn't like it. And she insisted that he break up with her? That he not have that relationship? And he was torn because he really liked this other woman, because she stimulated him. Now see the underlying pattern there? The underlying pattern is that the woman, my client, had not stepped up fully as she really is, as she authentically is. She was too stuck in her childhood patterns of pleasing and controlling. And what happened to her husband? He died of a broken heart. He had a heart attack. He was pushed into a position of having to choose. My client, she could not tolerate that he would be involved with another woman. And so he died. That was his way out. And I've had a number of other clients who've come to me after they've lost their spouses, and it's the same pattern. They control them, and they control them, and there's no way out. And so he dies. Or he leaves. So I had another woman, another client, who came to me after her husband left her. She had been taking care of him for years. She was the breadwinner, and she was buttressing him up. Finally, a real job, and she's so excited. She's starting to see, we're going to be able to retire. Only he leaves her because there was nothing in the relationship. The only reason he was staying was that she was providing for him. She was the manager. She was handling it. So what to do? Well, you need to work on those patterns. You need to change those patterns because they are going to get in the way of your relationships. And the superficial stuff that's out there on the internet, the dating.com, you're just going to continue to attract the same men because it's a pattern. And you can't help it. It's irresistible until you deal with the emotional wounds underneath. And you can look at all the girls' magazines, the women's magazines, and they have all these tips about how you can attract your man or get him excited or get his libido going. Only it doesn't work. It reminds me of the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, where the woman is sort of overweight and she goes to all these self-help seminars, and she comes back and she wraps herself in saran wrap and stark naked, and her husband he gets shocked, but he certainly doesn't get turned on. When she started stepping into her power, when she started becoming powerful and truly who she was and taking care of herself, that's when the juice came back into the relationship. So how do you get there? Is it possible to find love over the internet? Good question. I'm sure that it's possible to find love over the internet. But to hold love, to maintain it, you need to work on yourself first. If you don't work on those emotional wounds, you're going to attract the same people. And when you start attracting the same people, that is a sign that you need to do some work to understand, to change, to heal the wounds that are getting in your way. And that's where I come in. If you would like to check out what I do, let's have a conversation. I'll tell you how I work, I'll tell you what my prices are, and we can see if we're a match. There's a link that you can click on, or you can send me a message, and let's have a conversation. You can't handle this alone, because otherwise you're just listening to that inner child, that scared child, that people pleaser, or that manager. And she is going to be afraid to change. And that's the work that I do. I help you to release the emotions, the wounds that have been holding you back, and to face your fears, those deep inner fears, to comfort the inner child so that you can actually step into your authentic self and attract the love that you deserve, that we all deserve, that we all need. And stop playing the relationship yo-yo game. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Come back again.